Hey everybody, this week's episode brought to you by Racing in the Dirt. Located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, Racing in the Dirt has been in the off-road parts, equipment, and chassis business for over 30 years now. From full chassis builds, currently at 50 and counting, to wheel adapters, brake kits and components, hub kits and components, steering parts and knuckles, suspension parts, air filters, complete chain drives and parts, also real wheels and even cut tires. Scott, Shane, and company can get you hooked up with everything your dirt drag, sand, or mud ride needs. New from Racing in the Dirt for 2024, UTV offerings. From full cages to protected bars, with more parts to come, they're stepping into the UTV market with some new stuff. So find them on the web, racinginthedirt.com, or connect with them on Facebook, or give them a call. Area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. And the UPS Daily, racinginthedirt.com.
Welcome to Paddle Talk. We are starting this episode with some race recaps. We're going to start with Silverback Off-Road Speedway had their season opener, the Sand Invitationals. I should say real quick before I forget, multiple times we have a huge cast on board this time. We have a heavy Michigan cast too. We have Mr. Kyle Wiedmayer, excuse me. We have Isaac DeHaan. We have John Sorg. We are also joined by Indiana's Damian Bowers, and my big brother Kody Teters is with us as well, and Caleb Mings will join us any minute now. So we're just going to start with first of all, let's dabble into the before we get into the results here, let's dabble into some call outs that happen here and the results of those call outs. So
I just want to take it over really quick. Did I call out Johnny on an episode of Paddle Talk about a month ago? Maybe. Did I say I was going to dominate him with a championship?
I think it was the word destroy was used.
Did I say destroy?
I think it was destroy.
I had to let that lose.
He called out everybody and their brothers.
And did I beat everybody? I beat most of them. So I think that counts for something.
Did you
beat John? Okay. It was okay.
Did you beat John though?
No, I didn't get Johnny, but I'm gonna get him. I mean, just sometimes in life, the bad guys win. I can tell you that. Just sometimes.
So it's gonna take a few more times for you to finally win.
I bet if I get 5 to 6 more cracks at him, I might be able to get him.
Oh man, that was awesome.
Well, besides John Sorg, Caleb Mings just joined us. Caleb, we were just giving Kyle shit for losing to John.
Oh yes, that was actually going to be. I was hoping that I wasn't going to miss out on that.
No, you actually just caught the tail end of it. So yeah,
old Johnny boy putting Caleb in his place.
Yeah, take your turn.
Better when Caleb wasn't here.
But yeah, Isaac, you were not there, right?
That is correct. We were on the east side of the state doing a little racing over there. So.
Oh yeah, okay. We'll get into that after the Silverback stuff. Don't let me forget. But let's start with John Sorg. How'd the weekend go? First race.
The weekend went really good.
Yeah.
We thought maybe we were going to hit by weather at the beginning of the week. We didn't. The weather turned out wonderful. Friday night went off really well. Turned around and got up Saturday and did it all over again. You'll have to review the race winners because I don't have the list in front of me. So
yeah, I got
everything
right here.
We were done by 8:30 p.m. Yeah, I mean, they ran the cars through quick. It was a good show.
That's awesome. Hell yeah. K-Dub, how the weekend go for you besides losing to John?
Besides losing to Johnny, I think everything went good. Just like Johnny said, great weather. Friday, Saturday, we had a good turnout. The bracket classes had about 20 to 25 entries in both of them. You got comp and then open mod, the ones that I usually am in. One ATV, so that's good. Second place to Johnny and comp. So that was a good payday right there. Everything went pretty well. My friend Dan Bennett, he has a turbo Z1 laydown that they ran a 319 with, which is amazing because Dan Bennett's not a jockey in the
No, and
ATV world.
that's
No, he's not.
So
and
that was
that's
pretty
sand
awesome.
too.
What's that?
That's sand too. To run a
Oh, yeah,
319 in
definitely.
the sand.
So he had it dialed in for 325 index. It's like taking a pound of boost away here, a pound of boost away here to run 325 right in the number. And then they got one exhibition pass, and then they just let it eat, ran a 19. We had Eric Eschbach out with his nitrous Banshee. I'm not gonna say anything about nitrous other than that. And then Missy Barton from Arkansas, she came up again, and they were getting some test hits on it before Sheltons. The PSE race coming up in June. What else? Matt Peel. Matt Peel importing his drag nasty. He won Pro Index. It was a pretty good show. It was a good time for sure.
Yeah, it was.
Awesome.
Speaking of Mr. Peel, I think he needs to come on the pod because he won a class at the Outlaw race a couple weeks ago. He almost wins Pro Truck in Jay's Drag Nasty, and he drove another one of the Portinga Jeeps during the weekend as well. I mean, I guess if you're not going to own your own car and you keep driving other people's stuff and doing well, I mean, why not, right?
Exactly.
Hey, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I think him
John's been
and
in
John
that shoes for a while.
him and John Sorg are like the only jockeys I know in the car world as of this moment. So yeah, let's dabble into these race results here. Let's start with the kiddos real quick. First place in Pee Wees. Oh, okay. Olivia Nineheis getting first
Olivia
place in
Nine.
Pee
She's
Wees.
been dominating lately. It's a good Pee Wee racer right there if you want to put money on her.
That's awesome. Shout out to is that Dan's daughter?
Yeah, Dan's
Yes.
second
That's
oldest
awesome.
daughter, I believe. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, shout out to Olivia. Shout out to Dan. Second place, Wesley Green in Pee Wees. Shout out to Wesley. Going to juniors. First place in juniors, we have Crew Herman. Second place, we have Levi Dursky. Is that how you say that?
Dirksey.
Okay. How you say it?
Dirksey.
Yep. Okay. Levi Dirksey. All right. And then let's move into just the top of the list here. 350 index. First place, Terry Wise. Second place, Devin Roos. Terry's on a tear lately in the 350 index, ain't he?
He is.
Terry Wise is the OG, man.
Dude,
He was running 350, 351. He had it dialed.
Dude, Terry's a boss. I remember he gave me I went to a Michigan race one time. Whenever we were still worthless Sand Drag News, he gave me a stack this big of some worthless Sand Drag News stickers. He's like, I took your picture off your Facebook. I had a buddy made them. Here you go. I was like, that's awesome. But yeah, shout out to Terry Wise. He's awesome. Shout out to the Roos guys are getting that car figured out for sure. 350 index one, and then let's move over to what they do. They call it Pro Index, which I think that's just an awesome name for the 325 index class. As Kyle and Isaac mentioned earlier, first place, Matt Peel. This is Matt Peel and Jay Portinga. Was that Drag Nasty he was driving? I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Okay, so he got first place in Drag Nasty, and then second place was Devin Roost. Okay, Devin raced both. Okay.
Yeah.
Devin 350 and 325.
Just different trim, I think, for Pro Index. I took the body off, save a little bit of weight.
That was it?
Actually, he ended up putting the body back on it to slow it down.
For Pro Index?
Yes,
Yeah.
they actually found
Really?
a Texas problem and fixed it, and actually put the body back on to slow it down.
What's the
So,
difference? So they just sandbag the 350 class or what? Because I've seen that.
I
I think
he
350
separate
class is off the
units right
spray.
Yeah. I think it's NA.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I didn't know he ran spray. Oh, cool. Shout out to
there.
him. Well, I know you didn't get first place, but shout out to Devin Roos for podium twice. That's tough to do in Michigan. Let's go to ATV class right here. First place, our very own Kyle Wiedmayer. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Back on the
defeated
bike.
Eric Eschball. He did bring that up. He defeated Eric Eschball. Tell us about what were you riding in the ATV class? Tell us
I
about
was
it.
in the Turbo Razor.
Oh, I thought you were
in
back on the bike, K-Dub.
In Michigan, ATV class is kind of a catch-all. It's
No,
power sports motor,
that's
so it
only
can
on
be-
the west side. I found out.
Oh,
So I'm in the Turbo Razor running 5.4s, 55 mile an hour.
I thought you was
Trying to
on
come
your.
by me
I
with
thought you was on your Banshee or some shit.
Banshee's still a little bit away.
I thought the same thing, K-Dub. I saw that. I'm like, oh, sick. He got the Banshee back together.
No, I'm just dominant in that Turbo Razor, baby.
Oh god, that's hilarious.
You and Coker's both swapping back and forth with them classes all the time.
I'm just like Coker. We just go round robin, class to class to class to class. Can't beat it.
What was Eschball on? The weight class bike?
Eshbo was on his 4-cylinder, or was it, no, it's a really big 3-cylinder snowmobile motor. So he was running like
Vader?
on it. It's a snowmobile motor.
You talking about Vader?
Yeah, Vader. Yep.
Yeah, I love that
Yeah.
bike.
That bike's awesome.
Wait.
It's fast.
It is. It's
Well,
sweet.
K-Dub, which is the other one he had?
He has everything. I mean, Eric literally has two Busa bikes. He has a nitrous Banshee, a nitrous 650. He has a 525. He has everything. And usually just brings the whole trailer, but
That's pretty sick.
yeah, I mean, I could even name all the bikes he has. He just brings pretty much a whole fleet, and then poor Nick Bennett has to tune out all of it.
Well, that's
Bennett
pretty.
had told me that he sold one of his snowmobile bikes.
He did. He sold Bane. That's right. Now that I think about it.
Okay.
He sold
I didn't know which one he had sold, so.
Yeah, it was kind of the smaller one. It ran like 3.7s. It's a big snowmobile bike, but I think it was one of the smaller ones.
Actually, I think I remember it being for sale.
Yeah,
The bike was awesome.
Oh, that was a nice bike.
Well, shout out to K-Dub for getting first place in ATV. Shout out to Eschball for having 1,000 bikes. We'll move on to the pro comp class. Well, first place, the freaking man. I don't even know how. I guess first place in pro comp, Tom Hartman. Second place, Terry Wise. Tom Hartman, dude. He's a goat, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Go to bracket racing. We can go that far.
He's
John,
on that list.
how many pro comp wins do you think Tom has in total over his 150 years that he's been racing that truck?
Right.
Numbers don't go that high. Numbers don't go that high. Tom Hartman was in the Navy in 1950.
Yeah.
I bet he's had to buy a whole new house just to house all of his trophies at this point.
The one time he had to beat Fred Flintstone in the finals, pretty epic.
He's gonna have it out for if he listens to this, John.
Oh. Hey, shout out to Tom Hartman, man. I see him liking the videos. I see him commenting sometimes. Like he's active on Facebook for his older age, dude.
That old
Shout out
man,
to
him
Tom
and my
Hartman.
dad, they would go at it for years.
And then shout out to
I
Terry
think
Wise
we're
for hitting the podium a second time.
We're going to have to do like World Sand Drag News. Competition Plus does like the best story, out there. It's like the rumor, thing. We're going to have to do that because there is some Tom Hartman goodness out there that.
Dude, I'm down. First
Do
ever
the old war
ever
stories.
Tom Hartman documentary.
There you go.
WSTN war stories.
Here's an Easter egg for you right now, and we'll start working on it in a handful of years. We'll figure it out. Anyway, comp. All right, moving on. Comp class. Our very own John Sorg getting the win. K-Dub smacking his fist down on his
Yeah.
because he beat K-Dub in the comp class final.
It was fun, man. I had to spank him on the tree and then the over-under, and it was just epic.
After all that shit talking last month.
Tell us what the time slip said. Tell us dial-ins, reaction times, what y'all ran. What was it?
Sorg had an 030 light. I had an 050. Sorg was I I was a half a tenth off of my dial, and Sorg, I want to say, was about a half a tenth too. So he got me.
Yeah.
I gave it a baby
He had
burp,
you
but
end to
Sorg
end
came
him.
by me going so fast, I shouldn't have burped. It's so hard to judge when you're going so slow. And I was looking for my wind light. I was like, that wind light has to be coming on. And then Sorg was on. I'm like, God dang it.
He was waiting for you in ATV class.
Oh man. Well, that's awesome.
Oh, that was a fun race.
Oh, yeah.
Well, hey, well, shout out to both of you guys. Congratulations to both of you. That's good shit. K-Dub podium twice. So shout out to K-Dub.
Yeah.
We went to Pro Index already. Open mod. We had Joe, Caddy.
Go Kody.
Okay, Joe Kody, first place in open mod. Second place, Larry Brocker. Right? Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Larry Brocker. Cool. And then Pro Truck, first place, Chad Roost. Second place, Matt Peel and Jay Portanga. Was Chad driving the Warp Speed car?
Yes. No.
Oh.
Well, no. Capital punishment.
Oh,
Capital
what?
Punishment.
God damn it!
Capital punishment, Warp Speed Racing.
Who's Warp? Oh, okay. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That was John Ramker's car, the Warp Speed car.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that car was awesome. I was about to go on a whole side tangent. Let's finish these results here. In Pro ATV, first place, Wyatt Dunlap, and second place, Misty Barton. K-Dub, what were they riding?
Wyatt, he has a motorcycle lay down kind of bike.
It's a weird laydown thing. It's a KZ motor. Actually,
Yeah.
Jack from Cycle Drag just featured him.
It runs
That
pretty good
thing.
for what it is, and then Wyatt's a big boy. He's running like 4.0s, I believe.
That
And
thing's
then
awesome.
Misty
Three
was on,
nines.
what's that?
3.9s I seen him running.
Oh yeah, it's running really good for what it is.
Yeah.
And
That's
how
fucking
big
awesome.
how big Wyatt is. I mean,
Yeah, he's not little.
and then Missy was on Eric Eshpaw's nitrous bike, and then she took second, and then that was good for Wyatt. I'm glad seeing him taking a win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. He worked hard.
Wyatt Dunlop, second generation racer as well.
Yes. To Johnny Speed Dunlop.
Yep.
Well, shout out to all those winners from Silverback Off-Road Speedways.
Oop, you missed one,
season.
Billy.
What did I miss?
Open bracket.
Oh, read it. Already went away
Open
from
bracket. The double up with Joe Kady getting the
Oh,
win over Brian Jones.
That was Friday night. So yeah, Katie.
Yeah,
Katie's
that was
pretty
Friday
good.
night.
okay. Cool. All right.
Yeah, Joe Kady had a win on Friday night. and
Damn, Joe
Saturday
Kady
night.
got first twice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He came out of the woodwork. He typically runs at the other greens track and decided to make a showing up by us and came in and cleaned some house.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, shout out to Joe Kady.
Yeah.
I'd say most impressive performance of the weekend, probably. 2 first place.
Yeah.
He came home with some money. I can
Yeah.
guarantee that.
Sounds like it.
He did better than K-Dub. He had a first and a second.
Wait, John, how many classes did you run?
Oh, I ran 3.
Oh, but you only placed in one of them?
Yeah, I got knocked out in the semifinals of Pro
Oh,
Comp
no.
by Old Man Hartman.
Oh no!
Mm.
Oh no!
I did. I was a victim.
Oh,
Hey, you know what? It's better
Well, now
to be
you don't-
beat by
now
the
you don't
person that
know-
wins.
yeah. Well, now we don't know who has the edge because John only podiumed once, but Kada podiumed twice. But his second place finish was DeJohn. So I don't know who has the edge here.
We'll just
Well,
have to
it
figure it out.
was a single race rivalry, so I think that we'll just stick with that single race for that.
Fine, whatever. I was trying to make it more interesting than that, but whatever, John. Whatever. All right. Anyway, congratulations to the winners of Silverback.
Hey everybody, this week's episode brought to you by Racing in the Dirt. Located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, Racing in the Dirt has been in the off-road parts, equipment, and chassis business for over 30 years now. From full chassis builds, currently at 50 and counting, to wheel adapters, brake kits and components, hub kits and components, steering parts and knuckles, suspension parts, air filters, complete chain drives and parts, also real wheels and even cut tires, Scott, Shane, and company can get you hooked up with everything your dirt drag, sand, or mud ride needs. New from Racing in the Dirt for 2024, UTV offerings. From full cages to protected bars, with more parts to come, they're stepping into the UTV market with some new stuff. So find them on the web, racinginthedirt.com, or connect with them on Facebook, or give them a call. Area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. And the UPS Daily, racinginthedirt.com.
We're gonna move into the race results to Atoka Motorsports Park, Heartland Nationals. The content from this race was brought to you by Akron Machine Shop, RNS Collision Center, and of course racinginthedirt.com. I was at this race personally. The weekend started wet. We got there and it was like soup almost. And then by Sunday, they had to end up watering everything because it was so dusty. It's typical Atoka stuff, but it was a good weekend. Let's get into. Well, I do want to highlight the qualifying order real quick here because we actually had some really great racing. We actually had really good content from this race too. You can go on our Facebook, check out our Facebook reels from the Atoka Motorsports Park Heartland Nationals, and really close up and personal with some of the content we have. And cut out this dead air because I'm looking for the qualifying order.
You need help?
I just need the final one. I don't know. What the fuck it's that? There it is. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so the final qualifying order for top eliminator at this race. And once again, because like I said, we're gonna say it a lot this year, and then after, like starting next year, we're gonna stop saying it. But top eliminator is 295 index. We're gonna say that now. It's not that thing that we were talking about before, but 295 index. Your number one qualifier out of Coastal Texas was Pruitt Schultz. Had 298 with a 1. Only 7 cars in this field. I'll say that real quick, but within that first 5, it was pretty dang close. Pruitt Schultz 298 with a 1. Randy Kimbley ran a perfect 3-second pass, 3.000. That's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen that. John Pate, number 3 qualifier, 3:02 with a 3 with the snap-on. Snap-on tools. Big block Chevy top eliminator car. Randy Kimbley was in the Blue Dog. Big block Chevy with a Whipple blower, and then Pruitt Schultz also had a big block Chevy with a 1471. Mark Puños out of Vegas was there. Caleb had some West Coast representation here. He finally made a decent pass, as he would say. Ran 3:04 with a 5. Qualified number 4. Hunter Shelton running his first top eliminator race at Atoka Motorsports Park runs a 3:08 with a 6 for his qualifying pass to be number 5. And if you know Hunter Shelton, he's got that big block on nitrous, and he does really well with it. He won a ton of top eliminator races at Thunder Valley last year. Number 6 qualifier, brand new top eliminator racer in the sport. His name is Curtis Grady. He's driving one of the mud rails. It's called Lucifer, and it is a badass machine. It's 4-wheel drive, and that thing can get it, but they're trying to get it down a little lower. His best pass is a 3:16 with a 4. That was good enough for the number 6 qualifier. And then your number 7 qualifier, Russ Bailey. He's got the red altered with flames, big block Chevy. supercharged powered, manages a 325 with a 1 for his best pass of the weekend. Yeah, Top Illuminator was a good show for Atoka. We had some really great racing all around. Funny
Yeah,
story.
Russ seemed like he was struggling a little bit. He's usually running a little bit quicker than that.
Yeah, he's
Them
he,
sand tracks, man.
he
they'll get
struggles
ya.
at the sand tracks a little bit. Yeah, he does. He sure does. Yeah, I got a funny story real quick. I posted a picture of I posted a picture of Randy Kimbley's pit where he had like some tires and a table of stuff for sale. And I said, sand drag races make a great opportunity to get rid of some unwanted parts. Randy Kimbley has some goodies for sale at Atoka Motorsports Park. And Randy told me that somebody from Michigan ended up calling him and buying that Linko that was sitting on the table in the picture.
Nice.
So
Did
I
ask
did
for
not.
commission?
No, I did, and he didn't give it to me. But
Oh,
I guess kind of he did because he did sponsor the content. RNS Collision Center. If you ever broke down near Okmulgee, Oklahoma, call RNS Collision Center. He'll help you out.
Mention K-Dub's famous promo code for 0% off.
Promo code
Zero-
KW 0%
I
off.
tried that.
That's
Famous.
That's right. That's right.
I
Well,
tried that
anyway,
code once and they charged me more.
That's what happens sometimes.
well, we'll get into these race results here, and then if it Kody, yes, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't see you had to raise hands on now.
No, you're good. Just to Caleb's point, he made the comment about Russ struggling out there at Atoka. Historically, you can go back and check our coverage and see there's a lot of guys who you'd be like, don't they usually run quicker? Correct me if I'm wrong, everybody. Atoka is like one of, if not the only, like pure sand tracks in the country. Like
Yeah,
there's
I mean,
there's not a bit of dirt in that track.
No, none. I mean, doesn't Michigan is Michigan just pure sand, or has that got allegedly some
it's got
clay
a
in
clay
it?
soil. It's got some clay mixed into it that they
Right.
brought in. But
So
But Michigan,
it
if you want
started
to
as
go
beach
fast,
sand.
is May, early part of June, and early September on. Usually in the summer months when it starts to warm up, that track is not compact as well. And yeah, very similar to Atoka, probably.
Yeah.
Okay, Damian.
I was gonna say, there is one more out your way with the new America's Oasis track.
Oh yeah. That's yes. Good call on that, and that's in the same state as Atoka. So
just Oklahoma and their sand tracks, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some of these top eliminator cars have figured it out. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to Schultz Racing because every single tire that they use on their machines are racing in the dirt tires. So shout out to Schultz Racing for using racing in the dirt tires because those bigger diggers definitely help hooking whenever you're down there in that sand. So anyway, to these race results, and let's start with this one. Top eliminator, 295 index. And as I said, number one qualifier was Pruitt Schultz. He was the only car in the twos until Sunday race day came. During eliminations, Randy Kimbley managed to get into the twos as well. Funny story, Randy Kimbley also races his top eliminator car, Blue Dog, in Pro 1 cars, which is 450 and faster Pro Tree bracket class, excuse me. And he broke out in the first round of Pro 1. He dialed like a 301 and ended up running like a 297 or something.
Oh.
And that was like his first or second pass into the twos. And then he apparently found out the money tune because he was cutting lights and getting it all the way to the finals. He beat Russ in the first round, I believe. I have to look at the list again to remember who he raced. I can't remember off the top of my head. But well, no, he would have raced. I think it was Puños. It was Puños that Kimbley beat in the semifinals to go to the finals against Pruitt. Pruitt had a bye run, and then he raced against Dang it. I'm doing this based off memory during the recording, and this is hard to do. Oh, it was Pate. He had to race Pate. And then he ended up beating Pate in the semifinals to go to the finals against Randy Kimbley. And these were the only two cars that managed to run a 2-second pass all weekend in the finals against each other. And Randy Kimbley comes out on top, and he actually gets him on a hole shot. He runs a 298 to Pruitt's 296. He goes 077 on the tree to Pruitt's 122.
Ooh.
And yeah, gets him on the hole shot, and that was a good win right there by Randy, because man, he really was on it. So shout out to Randy Kimbley, shout out to R&S Collision Center, and shout out to Schultz Racing for just being dominant. Unlimited ATV, first place Gavin Briggs, and second place Josh Hibden. Shout out to Josh Hibden. Races at our same local track, Thunder Valley. Gavin Briggs, this young dude has a future. This dude can ride. Like I don't remember what his dad's name was, but this dude was on multiple turbo chassis at Oklahoma, and he was getting down. Multiple 360 passes. I believe I saw a 350 or even 340, which is really hard to do on motor at Atoka. And dude, they were putting it down. I think they're going to be turning some heads here in the future. I think they're from Louisiana or something like that. I might have butchered that. I don't know. But shout out to Gavin Briggs. And yeah. Anyway, moving on. Pro 1 cars. I'm kind of going backwards. I'm starting from Sunday and going to Friday, but it'll be all right. Pro 1 cars. If anybody's got any questions, fire away. Pro 1 cars, 449 and quicker. First place, Amanda Matthews. Second place, Wyatt Schultz. Once again, shout out to Schultz Racing in the dirt tires. Amanda Matthews went undefeated. I don't think she lost a single race all weekend. She's driving Mike Zeck's old dragster.
Just Keith Ayar's old dragster.
So that was the car we went down the rabbit hole with a couple weeks ago.
Who owned it before Keith, Isaac? I can't remember the gentleman's name.
Dick Pruitt.
Dick Pruitt.
Yep.
Okay.
But Tommy Zavala made many appearances in that car.
The Suddenly Broke car is what it's called now. You're talking about that one, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Amanda's a freaking killer in it, and she's constantly on the number 348, 349, 350, 348, 340. She's chopping down the tree and getting it done. Pro 2 cars was an all Thunder Valley final in Atoka, Oklahoma. First place, Craig McNeil in what he calls his go-kart. I think I had I can't remember what he said on the interview. I think it's a CBR 600, something like that. I can't remember. I might have butchered that too.
It's probably 1,000.
Okay.
With how quick it runs.
I can't remember. And then Jamie Windsor was just in his general side by side. So shout out to Craig and Jamie for getting on the podium in Pro 2 cars, and Craig getting the win over Jamie. They were giving each other shit afterwards. So it was kind of funny. Pro 1 ATV, 499 and quicker. First place, Tim Harper. Second place, Gregory Wyatt. This race didn't even happen. Gregory didn't even leave the line. They said something about his tree didn't even drop, or something was messed up with the lights or something like that. But then I think it was determined that he timed out, because they have that 7-second rule, where you timed out. Yes, Kody.
Oh, just going back to the Craig McNeil thing, he was talking about his little go-kart. I do not remember his name for the life of me, but the guy who built that messaged Thunder Valley's Facebook like years ago and was telling us how he was building what he was calling the world's fastest Yerf dog, and then Craig ended up with it.
Yeah, Craig, that's very true. Joe Hamilton, I think is that guy's name.
It's got a ZX12 in it, Cowie motor.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. Did you just go back and watch it?
Yeah.
So yeah. Your dog, Damian.
What a name.
Yeah. So yeah, Pro 1 ATV. Tim Harper first place, Gregory Wyatt second. Pee Wees first place, Sawyer Sheffield, and second place, Timber Short. It was an all-girl final, and these two ladies did really good. Timber Short, I gotta give a shout out to her. She was in a go-kart, a two-seater go-kart. And that thing was pretty freaking fast. It was awesome. She was running like 80s, 70s, something like that. I don't know. It was awesome though. So yeah, shout out to Timber. Shout out to Sawyer for getting first place. Juniors, first place, Forrest Williams. Second place, Kason Scholl. Forrest Williams, 9 years old on a KFX 700. And Kason Scholl, I don't know how old he is, but he was driving a Jeep Cherokee, 4-wheel drive. So yeah, getting it done in the juniors class. That's right. K-Dub style. Sport comp cars. We had Audra Matthews, the daughter of Amanda Matthews, getting first place over Luke Heisey. Sport comp ATV. Gage Fuhrhelm getting first place over Michael Hopkins. 380 index cars. We had Wade Schultz. Excuse me. We had Wade Schultz getting first place over Brad Civils. 4.0 index cars. This is actually a pretty cool story. 14-year-old Braden Baker got first place in the 4.0 index. He actually beat top eliminator number one qualifier Pruitt Schultz to get it done in the 4.0 index. So shout out to 14-year-old Braden Baker. Do they let 14-year-olds run in the classes out west? The pro classes?
They occasionally have. It just depends on experience. I would say there's not many that have done it, but there's been a couple.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then moving on to moving on to 380 index ATVs. Jacqueline Kurtz made an appearance at this race, got first place on the I can't remember what she calls her bike, but it's really gorgeous. New JE bike, or it's not new, but well, I guess it kind of is.
It's relatively new. They've really only had it out a couple races, and I gotta give Jackie a huge kudos for that. I mean, just coming all that way, and obviously we just lost her father, Rudy Kurtz, who's an absolute legend in the sport. So much could be said about Rudy and how far he propelled the sport of, especially ATV side of it, into the future. And just to see her come out there to Oklahoma, and she put on a story that her dad visited that track like 23 or 25 years prior. So
That's crazy.
Yeah, just it was super cool to see.
Well, dude, and her bike was on it off the trailer. They ran like a 379, and it was that last pass she had to let off because she had it when Craig stalled out or something like that. But she let off, and she was going to run a really, really good number.
And that's a weight class bike too, so I mean, she's going to be in good shape for the big PSDA races.
Yeah,
that's what I was about to say. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if I think Joseph said the weight wasn't on the bike, but
that could be it. That's true.
Yeah.
Still though.
Yeah. And also you said something about Rudy Kurtz and the impact he had. After Rudy Kurtz passed away, Brett probably posted on ATV Drag Racer or something about something Rudy wanted to see change more was safety in the sport. A lot more ATV guys wearing pants this weekend, I noticed at Atoka. So shout out to those guys.
Baby steps.
Totally.
Moving on. 4.0 index ATV. Thunder Valley's own Brody Hibden getting it done. 15 years old, winning 4.0 index, getting it done. Brody's a freaking stud. This dude drove sprint cars, he TT raced, and he was sand drag racing does it all at the same time. Also plays tight end in football. That's awesome. Brody Hibden getting it done. Shout out to Brody Hibden, and also shout out to Michael Hopkins for his hospitality for me over the weekend. He got second place in 4.0 index as well. So
But
shout out to
Brody
those
does
guys.
not wear pants.
He did
He
not.
did. He did.
Oh,
Well,
he did.
He not. Well, okay. He did. He didn't on Saturday, but he did on Friday.
It's so funny with I was telling Brody at Sand Wars last year, like, dude, like you suit up like completely in a fire suit for the sprint car stuff, and you go out and you ride in shorts at Thunder Valley, like I don't get it.
Right. Well, yeah. Brody. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I gotta give a shout out to Brody because he took a video of me racing on my mini bike. This turd right here. But the video was dope. So shout out to Brody. Anyway, moving on. Pro 2 ATV 5.00 to 5.99. First place, Axel Smithhart. Second place, Jace Cassins. Shout out to those youngsters. Pro 3 ATV, which is 6.0 and slower, which is a class I ran in and failed in. First place, Nate Moss. And second place, Laura Fuhrhelm. So shout out to those guys in Pro 3 ATV. And then Friday's classes, they ran a Pro 1 cars race on Friday night that ended up with 21 or 22 entries. And first place, Amanda Matthews. Not shocked by that at all. But what was really cool about this race is who she was racing against. It was her dad. She beat her dad in the finals of the Pro 1 cars race on Friday night, Les Steelman. And that family is really nice, really cool. They're a joy to talk to, and they're all really good. And that's really scary whenever you see them pull up on the property. Quick 16 ATV to end it out on Friday night. Dylan Sibbles, first place, and second place, Nick Allen. I gotta give a shout out to Dylan Sibbles. I don't think he owns a regular shirt. I've only seen him in tank tops. So shout out to Dylan Sibbles for never wearing a regular shirt.
Every track's got a racer like that, doesn't it?
So yeah. And that is the recap for Atoka Motorsports Park. Heartland Nationals 2024. Shout out to Icon Machine Shop, RacingInTheDirt.com, and RNS Collision Center. We would talk Challenge in the Hills at Parsons, and we would talk Albany, but we don't know any of those results.
We'll bring it up next week.
Yeah, we'll talk.
I know.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll bring it up. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I also I forgot to mention this too. New England Sand Drags is also having insurance issues. Also, our buddy next door said something in our group chat about that. So yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, moving on to our preview, and the only race preview I really got for y'all. And if anybody else got it, we'll talk about it after. Is the race that I am putting on thanks to Mr. James Shelton for hosting it at Shelton's Dirt Drags this coming weekend, May 31st and June 1st, at Shelton's Dirt Drags in Stanford, Kentucky, 1 Yates Road, Stanford, Kentucky. Gate fee $15 each day, ages 10 and younger free. Friday, we got Test and Tune, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m., $25 fee for Test and Tune. This was supposed to be just a car race, but we've now added ATVs due to the fact that they haven't ran a lot this year in that side of the country just because of a bunch of rain. So we're going to host them as well, but they're not going to run the index classes that we have listed. They will run the trophy bracket race with the cars on Friday, but then on Saturday they'll have their own bracket race. So, and I'll explain that more right here. So yeah, Test and Tune, 12 to 5 p.m., $25 fee for that. Trophy bracket race, it's an open bracket for cars and bikes, $30 fee. And then Friday, we are also running a 450 index and a 320 index. That's going to be really exciting. 450 index is $40 fee. 320 index is $100 entry fee. And then Friday night, we will also have 2 rounds of 295 index top eliminator qualifying. And then if we have time, I don't know how fast this stuff is going to finish. So bear with us. If we have time after the races are done, I mean, I'm sure more testing too could be allowed. It's just whatever James would allow us to do. We do have from 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. to run. So if we have some time to spare, possibly so. I do know that Paul Moore is going to make it out to this race. He's not going to be there Friday, but he's going to be there Saturday with the famous Moose Knuckle. It's going to be really awesome to see that bike in person again. So yeah. But anyway, moving on to Saturday's format for this race, we're going to run kids. It's just one kids class, 15 years of age and younger, $10 entry fee. And it's just, you get it's just trophy unless somebody wants to donate some money to it. I wouldn't mind that. We got a cars bracket race, open bracket. It's a $40 entry fee, 80% payback. We got an ATV bracket, ATV open bracket, no ET limits, $40 entry fee, 80% payback. We also have 4.0 index for the cars, a $50 entry fee, a 350 index, which is a $70 entry fee. And then, of course, we'll run the 295 index top eliminator qualifying as well, $150 entry fee with 100% payback. So
100%.
Hope to see most people join us for that race. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors for this race. Shout out to Dave Applegate, Southern Power Sports Drag Racing Series. Shout out to Thomas Armstrong, National Junior Dirt Drags. Shout out to Jason Hayes, Trial Dolly, and Hayes Design and Fab. Shout out to Paul Moore with Moore Racing. Shout out to Brandy Cole, Blake Cole, and Braden Cole with Team Cole Racing. Appreciate all you sponsors for coming on to make this race happen. And the weather looks great. Man, it's happening, boy. I'm packing up after work on Thursday. I'm heading out. If I get there by midnight, Thursday night, Friday morning, whatever, then I'll call it a win. But now that I said that, I'll probably end up getting there like 4 a.m. So, but I'm excited for this race. I really am. After we had to cancel it last year, and a lot of people were excited for it. Now it's finally going to happen. I think a lot of people are excited. Damian is going to make the trip.
I don't know if I'm bringing the Jeep or not. I'll be there at least with the camera.
Damian's good. Damian's. What's your suggestion?
So correct me if I'm wrong, Damian. Back in the old pro truck days, you guys had a pit vehicle class.
Oh,
That they did.
Oh,
what if like when the race runs up, you just kind of throw that out there?
Well, I
vehicle
gotta
class.
get now. I gotta get the mini
I
bike.
was gonna joke about a mini bike class after on Friday, but
Double enter on Billy's mini bike.
Let's do it.
I'll
I'm
bring my
down.
helmet with
Damian,
me.
I will pay money to see you on Billy's
If
mini
Damian
bike.
races this mini bike, I will. Let's do it. All right.
I'll
Yeah,
race
it's
it in
happening.
one of the ATV classes. How about
All
that,
right.
Billy?
The goal for Friday, if you're listening to this, the goal for Friday is to finish by. We got to have a pit vehicle class after everything's done. So we got to finish in plenty of time so we can still run before midnight hits. So everybody, if anybody's going to this race, and this is coming out on Thursday, so you're probably listening to this on the way to the race. So you put it in your mind right now. We got to speed this up a little bit. I'm not going to try to
be
be
with
too
your
much of a
vehicle,
dickhead.
get your crap together,
Right.
be on time.
We got
gotta
mini bikes
race
to run afterwards,
bikes.
guys. Come on. Hey, also, I did not put this on the flyer. I haven't posted it yet. I meant to, and I totally forgot. Lone Star Graphics is also a sponsor for this race. So shout out to Lone Star Graphics. Appreciate them. Everything they do. I love you, Gary. I love you, Michelle. And then another thing that I was going to add, and I can't remember. Somebody talked about something while I try to remember.
For Sheltons, you're talking?
Yeah, I can't remember. So I had some.
Well, all I can say is
we're gonna do
really wanna see
award
the mini
ceremonies
bikes.
each night. We're gonna after the races are done each night, we're gonna gather around and hand out the
Hey.
awards and stuff.
Nice. I think that's
Yeah.
gonna be cool. I
Yeah.
actually wish more tracks would do a formal award ceremony. I know it's hard
Silverback does it.
sometimes, but it depends on the tracks, obviously, and it depends on the days and stuff. And obviously, you got people, especially on facilities that race on Sunday. People are leaving early and stuff, but it is kind of cool to get everybody together.
It is. We used to do it all the time at Thunder Valley. It was one of my most favorite parts, especially when and Kody knows what I'm talking about when I say this, but especially when Jack won that one time. Kody, remember that?
Uh-huh.
That was hype. That was hype. But yeah, bring back award ceremonies, and if people can't stick around for the award ceremony, then that's fine. But
So,
if you have the award ceremonies, people will stick around for them. They will.
I'll say this, and this is just a personal thing, obviously, but growing up with award ceremonies, it sounds like a ridiculous thing to say. Oh, they're not there. It doesn't feel whatever. Sounds ridiculous, yeah. But the only time I ever won a race in my life, there was no award ceremony for it.
Oh.
And that would have been
Man.
cool. That's all I
Dang.
gotta say. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Bring 'em
that
back.
would have been dope.
Let's do it right now. What class did you win, Cody?
I won the
Pro
car money bracket class at Thunder Valley.
All
Pro
right,
comp.
and first place in the pro comp
Oh,
money
my
class,
gosh.
Thunder Valley Sand Drags, goes to Kody Teters.
That's fine. I did not think you were going that route, or I would have just said pro comp.
Yeah. All right. That's awesome. Well, shout out to Kody for winning a race almost 15 years ago. So yeah, join us this weekend, Sheltons Dirt Drags.
Yeah.
Will do.
I guess. Oh, hold on, I gotta cut this a little bit out
Why?
because I gotta.
Raptor Rally.
Yeah. Last weekend, well, not excuse me. This last weekend was Memorial Day weekend. The weekend before that was Raptor Rally race in somewhere in Oregon. But Caleb ended up meeting up with Brad Christophersen. I said his name right this time, Caleb. He met up with Brad Christophersen and talked to him about the Raptor Rally results. So we're actually going to kick it over to Caleb's talk with Brad about Raptor Rally. And then when we come back, we will be without Caleb, but we will be talking about news that we found out just before the holiday weekend hit. And of course, as always, this episode is brought to you by RacingInTheDirt.com.
Hey everybody, this week's episode brought to you by Racing in the Dirt. Located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, Racing in the Dirt has been in the off-road parts, equipment, and chassis business for over 30 years now. From full chassis builds, currently at 50 and counting, to wheel adapters, brake kits and components, hub kits and components, steering parts and knuckles, suspension parts, air filters, complete chain drives and parts, also real wheels and even cut tires. Scott Shane and company can get you hooked up with everything your dirt drag, sand, or mud ride needs. New from Racing in the Dirt for 2024, UTV offerings. From full cages to protected bars, with more parts to come, they're stepping into the UTV market with some new stuff. So find them on the web, racinginthedirt.com, or connect with them on Facebook, or give them a call. Area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. And the UPS Daily, racinginthedirt.com.
How's it going, everybody? I'm here with Brad Christophersen. Brad is going to give us a little recap on Raptor Rally that just happened when you guys are actually listening to this episode. It'll be a few weeks post the event. But Brad, tell us a little bit about Raptor Rally 2024. How did the event go? We'll talk about some results and stuff and some crazy and wacky stuff that happened out there.
Raptor Rally is it's a not just drag racing. I mean, we kind of all know it in our group as the drag racing side of it, which evolved from the hill racing side. But Raptor Rally started out as, of course, Raptors get together, a big group of Raptors, and it was primarily just a group camp and ride way back when. I'm trying to remember the first year that it came about. It had been, to my knowledge, somewhere around 2004 or 5. So it's working on 20-year run of Raptor Rally here, and it's evolved over time. A lot of good things happened. It's got more organized. This is the first year it was held at Hauser Hill Campground, which is actually kind of midway between the Coos Bay North End, South End there, and Silk Goose. Winchester's north, Florence is north of that. But it's a big event. There's a lot of things going on. I'm really familiar with the drag side of it, of course, but there's show and shines. They've got kids ATV drags. They have kids kind of like a little sand track set up for them, so they're racing. They had some RC car stuff this year. I know they do an Easter egg hunt for kids. They do a show shine. They do all sorts of raffles. Gave away a couple different pit bikes, a dirt bike and a four-wheeler for raffle ticket prize winning stuff. So there's big group rides that go out. It's a lot of Raptors. I mean, it's everything, but it kind of brings that community of Raptors together too. Lots of camping and cabin pavement camping, Forest Service campgrounds to camp at too. Lots to offer out there. A lot of people. The event itself, I believe, is just Thursday through Saturday primarily, but there's people there all week long for Raptor Rally. Families making week-long trips of it, so it's a big deal. It's a pretty
I'm sure that whole area explodes like crazy for that whole week.
Oh, it does. And when they release the camping spots, and of course Raptor Rally figures that out with what location they're out, and then the camp spots are kind of a premium. There's lots of sand camp spots too that not necessarily in the Raptor Rally per se section, but you can always get lots of camping there, and you can ride the dunes north to south at Hauser Hill. Campground is right basically in the center section of that, so it's pretty accessible for a lot of people. It was a great location. The Hauser Hill Campground sand itself is private property, so it comes with pluses and minuses, of course. Mostly have to deal with Forest Service or the sheriff as far as noise, especially with the two-strokers and loud pipes, because everybody on our hill shooters run straight stingers, no matter where they're. Have a flag to get out to the drag strip and the camping and stuff right there too, because it's not open to the general public. It's fenced off a little bit. So yeah, it's a great spot. This year for the track, brand new thing, 4 wide, 4 timed lanes. We had actually 2 separate systems set up, running pairs side by side, but we could run all 4 at the same time. And that primarily is the work of Brandon Moore and Julie Moore. Brandon's Black Label Motorsports, and Julie, of course, is Dirt and Dunes Photography. Matt McCormick with ATV Parts Central has been a big part of the track side of that as well. And Vance and Sierra from Wolf Motorsports, they own one of the timing systems as well. So those 5 primarily put the drag part of that together. And then there's some other volunteers that help out just with keeping things running. Staging lanes.
And just so everybody's kind of aware too, because I think this is a misconception, is that the drag portion of it is, even though it's part of Raptor Rally as a whole, it is kind of its own separately run thing. So it's all the volunteers that are associated with Raptor Rally aren't necessarily there at the drag strip. Like, you guys kind of have your own crew running everything. Like you said, timing systems being donated. I believe that is the only track that has had 4 lanes with timing systems in the country. We've had plenty of 4-lane tracks where they've got like a green light start, a flag drop, something like that. But as far as having 2 separate timing systems to cover the 4 lanes, I believe that's the first.
It's, to my knowledge, yes. I've never seen one or heard of one anywhere, period, outside of asphalt.
Yes. Yeah, asphalt tracks, a couple that exist for that. And the way that I saw that the race format you guys were doing, They were basically running one, kind of just like what they'd run for the Sportsman Series for the 4-lane NHRA events. You run 2 lanes, and then the other 2 lanes get prepped. So they had a dozer out there with a big like box drag to smooth out the sand. So they were prepping the 2 lanes while the other 2 were running.
That's correct. That's correct. And it made a tremendous difference in time, especially on the sand with a cat. You know, tractors are slow enough as they are, but a cat's a couple steps down from tractor tilling on a regular dirt track. So that really helped us put a lot of bikes down the track in a timely manner. You know, so we get solid 3 passes each lane, if not 4. And that's plenty of time to groom the other 2. Burns a little bit more diesel, but we put a lot more bikes down the track too. So that was nice. You know, for myself, my son was out there riding too. He got as many passes as he could take, basically. Thursday, the first day the track was open. So, but our test and tunes, you know, they try to keep the cost down. It was $40 for all 3 days. So there was test and tune Thursday, the green light start when we actually ran 4 wide, not timed, but just a green light start. That $40 carried throughout the whole every test and tune, and the 4-lane green light start as well. That was a great value for trying out a track if you wanted
For sure. And I know that a lot of people definitely took advantage of that for, you know, some grudge racing and stuff when they were doing that. So did you get any little action on the grudge racing side?
No, I didn't personally. No. We ran some passes. You know, our bike was fresh from Dome, and that was the first time with our Cub, and this is the first time on sand, so we're just kind of sorting stuff out.
For sure. Well, you mentioned that test and tune, the $40 carried you through all the test and tune, both the timed test and tune for the classes and the green light start. Well, let's get into some of the results. So 3 days of racing, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Looks like you guys kicked off Thursday with an ATV bracket. This was an open ET bracket?
Yes.
Sport light or pro light on that?
I think we ran with the Sport Light on the ATV bracket because we had a pro heads up later on that went to a pro light.
Yeah. So
That makes
the bracket class, first place going to Brandon Hudgen, who was riding David Herbert's Raptor. Second place, looks like we got Albert Brando, who was on a Banshee. So we've got, you know, it being Raptor Rally, lots of Raptors there, but Banshees are still part of it as well, including yours that was out there. Was there a pretty good mix of Banshees versus Raptors there?
Yeah, there was. The quality of the Raptors that were running out there was really high. There was kind of surprised me a little bit. There weren't more of them the kind of medium range of that, you know, semi-modded, cammed, ported pipes kind of stuff out there per se. Most of the bikes out there were really top-notch stuff. Obviously, Cuervo's local builder, they had a strong showing.
Definitely. And then you guys also ran UTVs out there as well. So I saw you guys had a UTV bracket. Tell us about that.
We did. We had a handful of cars come out. I recall G. Armstrong took first place in that. And then second place was Christian Keeney, I believe is pronounced his last name. I'm not too familiar with Christian, but G is a YFZ. He's kind of a staple in the drag race community. He used to have a YFZ 450 and then kind of converted over to the cars. But
Yep.
He's always there supporting us.
Always been a Yamaha guy, so running the YXZ, and you know he's been does a lot of the dune races stuff. He comes out to Albany every so often as well with that too. So definitely cool. And I know he works a lot with Dirt Wheels magazine. So anytime you guys see content, he provides a lot of stuff out there for Dirt Wheels as well.
Yeah, he sure does. He does a lot for the drag race community and just the off-road community in general. He's tied in with Florence Yamaha as well.
Hence the Yamaha stuff. Okay.
Yep.
That's where it all stems from.
Florence Yamaha.
So, and you said you guys had a pro light ATV pro class. So that was a heads up class, right?
Correct. That was just first fastest guy. between reaction time and ET. So number 2 on there was Ian Hirschberger on a drag Raptor that his dad built for him. And then number 1, Brian Kane on a Banshee. And that's a Kane built motor, twin on the back.
That's their new bike, right?
It is, yeah. It's new Hill Chat. Yeah, it's bright yellow. Can't miss it.
Oh yeah.
And it ran really strong. You're going to hear his name here as we go through our list here a few more times.
For sure. So taking home the win there in the pro heads up class, that wrapped out Thursday. So Friday, you guys went back at it with another heads up class. Tell us about the second day of the pro ATV heads up.
Yeah, so first class out was the pro ATV heads up. Again, quickest reaction plus ET finish guy to the finish line. Eric Wells took second in that. And I don't recall if he was on his twin or if that was on Doug Gunderson's twin. I'll have to check with him. I'll see him tomorrow. I'm recalling that one. But number 1, Danny Bergnaw out of Canada on his Thai LSR Redline built motor. And don't quote me on this. I believe that one's a 24 DM.
Ooh, big boy. All the way from Canada too. That's I mean, granted it's a little bit closer, Canada, Oregon, but depending on where you're coming from Canada, that's still a decent trek.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. And him and usually his brother and dad are all down here. I don't think his brother made it this time around, but I definitely saw his dad out there as well.
So after you guys did the second day of the pro ATV heads up, you guys did the Raptor King. Tell us what was that class? Is it just kind of an unlimited Raptor class, or how did that work?
Yeah, one thing before I jump in there, I mentioned Van Sierra, Brandon, Julie, and Matt that put the actual track system together for that. But I also wanted to say Sean Kelson really kind of organized the hill shooting part of this, which kind of morphed into the track side of it. He really got that. It's always been a popular thing. We've always gone out and met at the hill on any right and raced. But he organized it into a bracket and had a couple different classes. It was an open and there was a Raptor one. And he was a part of this as well. He came down. He was out there throughout the week, and he came down and actually ran the Raptor King piece of that too. He's got some of his buddies out of Washington are always there as well, helping. Usually back in the day they'd be watching starting line, looking for jumps and whatnot. They were still doing that part in the background as well, watching for bikes, see if they're moving. At the point it was checking some red lights, so we'll get into that too. But just so props to Sean for really taking it to the next level and building it up the years coming to where we're at now. That was a big part of that. But back to Raptor King. So that one is, it's supposed to be Raptor Rally, right, by name, but it's kind of morphed to the hill shoot side as, run what you brung. And there's obviously badass Raptors that have always competed as well. But with that brings LSR frames and 18 and 24 DMs and, all sorts of big motor stuff. And it slowly reduced the number of Raptors. So this year we brought back a Raptor King. So that is Raptors only. Gotcha. Other than that, wide open. Run wherever you want. Just got to be suspended.
Suspended, Raptors only. Let's go.
Yep, exactly. So usually really competitive. Obviously, Cuervo has a real strong showing here. They're local out of Junction City. They built some damn good motors, and they've got some guys that have some impeccable bikes, and they are damn strong. To shake all that out, with that said, Bill Templeton came in second on that, and right next to our friendly Canadian, Danny Bergnaw. He's got a Raptor. He's had it for years. I don't think the guy's ever touched the thing in probably like 5 years, and it runs hard every year.
So it shows that he can win on, a 4-stroke and a 2-stroke, winning the Banshee in the heads up Pro ATV, and then on the Raptor and Raptor King. So shout out to Danny. Once again, coming from Canada. Always great to see people travel that far.
Yeah, he made a hell of a showing this week specifically. He's always a good competitor, always right there at the top, but he crested it a few times this week.
And then it looks like you guys finished out Friday with the juniors class. So that was a 14 and under. Was that run as a bracket or was that heads up or?
I don't recall on that. I'm not certain on that one. I actually wasn't personally there for the kids running. I know this looks like a couple of brothers here battling it out. Ko and Dungji. And then Braden came in second with that. So I assume those are siblings.
I would gather as such. Always cool to see it be a family fair. I mean, obviously Raptor Rally, big family event. You know, people go out there and camp all week. So cool to see two of the kids out there running against each other. So that wrapped up Friday. Obviously, you guys finish out with more of that open grudge racing. Opening up the track 4 lanes wide. That's a really cool thing, you know, seeing that especially in the evenings. Like I said, don't really have to worry too much about curfew being private grounds, so get to run a little bit late.
Yeah, it was nice. You know, sun setting a little after, right around 9 o'clock right now here. Man, the sunsets were amazing. So Hauser's didn't used to have a big pond down there this time of year, but there's a whole bunch of water in there. We got another note here for another conversation on that. But man, the sunset's coming over off the beach side of that, over the lake and right over the track. It was made for some good pictures.
Nice. Definitely saw some of those down at the lakeside, so some cool photos. I know Tevin Adams had some cool shots there. I can't remember the photographer's name, but she was down there shooting some side by sides and other bikes and stuff there, so pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. It's hard to beat pictures on the sand. When the sun's out on the sand, boy, these things just pop.
Definitely. So we finished out that with some nice photos and the juniors class on Friday. Saturday, you guys had the 425cc Banshee class. So obviously, you know, there's different classes. I know probably more in the California side, we run it as a 421, but obviously we got PSDA's 425cc limit. I've been hearing rumors that everybody's kind of trying to push for a 425, just standardize it across the board. You guys ran a 425cc class. Tell me about how that ran on Saturday.
Yeah, I had a fair turnout. I believe there was a dozen bikes in it, all probably within 2 to 3/10 of each other. So it's pretty tight spread on that many bikes. All solid competitors. Whereas how it shook out was Bo Thomas out of Oklahoma on his cane built 421 took the win on that, and Mando out of SoCal, he took second place on that one as well. And that was a good class. It was interesting to see. I'm specifically interested in it because, of course, just turned over to a 421. So it was fun to watch all the bikes go heads up on the actual sand too.
Yeah. And were they running a mix of track bikes and suspended bikes for that, or was it only suspended bikes?
That's the only there's only one rule. You can be max 425cc and you have to be suspended, which the actual rule is no wheelie bars. So you don't have and you can run rigid, just can't have a wheelie bar.
Gotcha. Okay. So no bar 425.
Yeah, to answer your question, everybody out there was suspended though. I personally had my rigid out there that my son was riding. We didn't enter the class. He didn't want to run it without the wheelie bar, which was fine. We didn't really come to run the class.
For sure. Hey, I got my first taste of no bar stuff a couple weekends ago, and it's definitely interesting on what should be a rigid bike. So yeah, totally get that. And then so 425 class ended, and then the big head honcho King of the Hill, which this is not actually a hill class, but it's hill shooters, right?
Yes, technically. Yes. And so this is where Sean Kelson's brainchild came in when he really organized the bracket on the hill. So he stepped in and ran this class as well. So this mixes everybody. This is essentially a unlimited class, run what you brung, from Raptors to conversion bikes to Banshees. Doesn't matter. Just got to be out there and be able to run it. Got to be able to hot lap it. So the class was ran as a best 2 out of 3, which was pretty cool because we had quite a few of them go 1-1 and need that third round. So the competition was really good on here as well. So finish that class out, and two names you've already heard here. Second place, Brian Kanan. Again, I think he had a jockey on that as well, but I don't recall his name offhand. But he took second to Danny on his Redline built LSR bike. So Danny took the bacon home. Brian took some brag.
Making that trip from Canada worth it.
Yeah, I'm sure he spent that in diesel. But it definitely helps a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah, so that kind of wraps up the class talk of it. I got a few other points if you want to move into that.
Yeah, let's hear it.
One right offhand, a friend of ours that's actually an Albany track racer as well, Dana, I'll probably butcher his last name, Likety. He actually had an accident later Saturday night. I'd actually already hit the road, headed home. He had to be home early, but got beat up pretty good. Spent a couple of nights in the hospital, is my understanding. So just want to give him a shout out for hanging in there.
Was this on the track, like for grudge racing stuff after, or was this just out in the news?
No, it was on the track. And I don't know what happened. I don't know any details of it. Just know he took a spill there.
Well, hopefully he's doing all right now. Is he out of the hospital now?
Yeah, I know he's home. Saw a post on Facebook, I think yesterday, said he might be able to make a trip out to Albany just to hang out for the part of the day or something. So,
Gotcha.
and he's back on his feet and home.
That's good at least.
Yeah. On the Raptor side of it, since this is Raptor Rally, there's always this big rivalry between specifically Matt McCormick and Cuervo. There's always been some good razzing going on there, and me personally, I really enjoy it because I'm not part of it. But
You're over here with your two-stroke and going,
Yeah, I just read a lot of comments.
Eating the popcorn.
Great, good stuff. So they're always Matt for the longest time. A big track guy. Had his nitrous Raptor. He's got his hill shooter Raptor now too. It's also on nitrous. So Thursday out there early, he ran a 383. That time held up until I believe it was Saturday. So a couple other bikes that didn't place in classes per se, but really notable. Steve Summerlin came out with a new hill shooter chassis, running some ARs, Cuervo built motor, of course. So Steve and Darcy, I know they ran two 377s. I think it was back to back. I know it was Saturday, same day. That's wrong out there in the sand. That's hard.
Yeah, in the sand, that is booking it. I mean, for people that run sand and then trying to think about this in terms of track times or vice versa, like, when you're sub 4 seconds, track or sand, that's doing something. But in the dune sand, no moisture, it's just loose material. Anything under 4s that's a fast bike. And if you're talking 380s, 370s in the sand, that's wild. What do you think that would have been had it been at a good hooking dirt track?
Oh, probably
couple tenths quicker.
Half to 2 if you're getting after it, all things equal, and just change the surface. If your setup's as good on the dirt as it was on the sand to run that, probably 1.5 tenths, maybe 2. Yeah, so
we're looking at a 360 to 350 no bar bike.
Yeah, and Steve is at the track, so that's a pretty good indicator where that. Not in that particular setup for the hill bike, but as in his track bike.
Very cool.
Another notable one, a brand new build, Josh Van Winkle with a absolutely beautiful Raptor, EKO tie chassis, Cuervo built motor. He came out, and of course, new bikes, new things to figure out. Made a few solid hits, and he put the fastest Raptor pass down the track at a 375. So he took cash. There was a bounty on that for fastest Raptor pass. There was also a fastest 2-stroke pass as well. So Josh Van Winkle picked that up, and that bike is super sexy.
Oh yeah,
One of
definitely.
the
We'll have to drop a photo in it. But man, that bike, it is definitely like show and shine winning worthy bike.
Yeah, most definitely. It's a work of art, really is. Another Raptor I was really looking forward to seeing run was Troy Weber with his you know, I didn't put a tape measure on it, but if Arlo's out there 30, this thing's got to be out there 40 inches on the swing arm. I mean, it's so far out there when it caught on fire that didn't even get close to the paddles because the swing arm was in another county.
Well, yeah, and that was the thing. We saw the video of it catching fire. What may have caused that fire, Brad?
I don't know exactly. I was at the front of the track. Troy would have to chime in on it. I suspect that it backfired a little bit because it shut itself down at somewhere around 200, and it goes out into the track and kind of looped left back towards the staging side of it. And I could see just a little bit of a fire. I assume probably in the filter. Somewhere in there, the seat came off. I know he got the bottle turned off. I was trying to get that fire out, and it turned into a big fire really quickly.
Yeah.
Speculate. I didn't actually talk to him, so don't kill me, Troy. But I can only speculate that probably the fuel line either burnt through or popped off and was feeding it, because it went from a small to the majority of the bike
Yeah.
front end.
Doesn't take much, and that was a beautiful looking bike before it, and you know the original plastics that were on there that had been the original paint scheme that's been on that bike for quite a few years now. Those are all gone.
Yeah, sure has. And actually, I believe Sean Kelson built that originally. That was the panty dropper bike.
Yeah.
I'm
sorry, Troy. I take full responsibility for all nitrous backfires. So I'm sorry. It's my fault.
Oh, indeed you do. I have to watch that. Yeah, that was a bummer though. I'm sure that one stung a little bit. I did see it later in the show and shine. They had it out. Looks like his damage wasn't nearly as significant as what it appeared from actually seeing it happen.
That's good because it definitely had a good fireball on it for sure.
It did. Granted, I was 350, almost 400 feet away at that point, but I was like, oh no, that one's probably going to burn all the way to the ground. So I think he probably came out with a smidgen of a wind, if you can call it that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to him getting that back together, though. Troy went down to Dome Valley and put a bottle on a Raptor for the first time, picked up at least a 10th, if not 10th and a half, ran a low 50, I think Jackie did.
Yeah. The first 350 that they ran with that bike. So very cool for them.
Correct. So I'm excited to see Troy come back on the other bike as well, and see what that thing lay down. I hope he runs it at the track too, here at Albany. So we'll see what it does. Exciting. Another real notable, Arlo Coley. He brought out the revamped Herbie, longer swing arm, and put down the fastest pass of the track. And I believe it was a 5.0, 350.
350.
That thing is super sexy. Yeah.
I mean, Arlo builds, I would say probably the nicest looking suspended Banshees out there. I don't feel like that's a controversial statement. I mean, his bikes are gorgeous, and I swear he can't I always say he can't outdo himself, and then he builds another one, and it looks even better. So, and they're fast, 350. Oof.
He's really got a knack for it, and his effort level into aesthetics is as dedicated and strong as it is in the performance side of it as well. They always perform, and they're always lookers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, straight from show and shine to the track and take names. It's impressive. It's a really nice bike.
Definitely. So I was hearing little rumors and stuff. There was some controversies with some red lights maybe going on. Was there a malfunction with the timing system with something, or was it like beams going through, bikes. We've got a lot of hill bikes out there that don't normally have staging discs on the wheels, or maybe they've got parts of the frame that extend out front. Was it something like that happened with little rumors I heard?
Yeah, so it's kind of a few different things were happening. We did have one instance, the far left lane, after dragging it for the most of the day, the left side of the left lane specifically, had pulled a fair amount of sand out there. So the beams were starting to creep higher. They started to catch the top radius of front tires and wheels rather than down towards the middle. We did catch that on, I remember at this point if it was late Thursday, late Friday, and actually pushed it back in with the cat the following morning. But as the day goes on, it's inevitable. Plus, the wind was humping out there in that direction as well. So that was a little bit of a challenge. Caught that when we started having problems with it, corrected it. The main one was people just not having a staging disc and or taping up the wheel. To complicate that, the LSRs do stick out front. And if it only takes just a flicker of a light bulb to turn one on and or off. So that was an issue as well. The main one though is and here's where I see it. So for quite a bit of that time, I'm out front right by the bikes, pushing the button to the starter. And so I can see how far bikes pull in or how little they pull in. Track racers, ET minded people, jockeys, owners, whatever that may be, you've got that distance between your pre-stage, full stage, and your guard beam. That basically gives you a running start at your time starting. So shallow staging is advantageous in an ET instance, but when you're running heads up, it's first one to the end of the track. So shallow staging at that point actually makes the track not 300 feet. It's now 300 feet plus whatever inches you left in between the guard beam and your full stage. But the main problem is on the sand. When you're shallow staging, the bike pushes a little sand and it'll always roll back a touch. So I had quite a few guys coming up and just nudging in there, like you're gonna get the run at the lights and get that.
Yeah.
Right. And some of them doing that on purpose, which is perfectly fine. Don't get me wrong. But when you get into classes and red lights come into play, and you shallow stage, and then you hammer on the throttle and it vibrates just a fraction, or you don't have your foot on the brake and it comes back a quarter inch, and that light reconnect, it automatically red lights once that foot's pushed, the tree's activated. That happened multiple times. Bo did it once, and I told him right there at the line, I said, hey, don't be so shallow, just get in there just a little bit more, give it 2 inches, not quarter. Some other people did pick up on that soon enough, and lights shining through wheels, that happens too a lot.
Yeah.
And the argument is, I ran for 2 days and it never did that to me. Well, your wheels rotate different, their spoke, the design, whatever it may be.
Like you said, you've got, differences in the height for the actual beams and stuff. I mean, we see that a lot with mud tracks and stuff too, where you get into a rut, now your wheel's in a different spot with where the beam actually hits the wheel. And, I always tell people, guys, it's an easy fix. Tape one of your wheels so that you can guarantee that it's gonna hit something solid. If you do have any chassis sticking out in front of your wheels, like you guys run that on your bike, put some sort of staging plate out there so that you make sure that there's a nice solid surface so that it's gonna hit. And these timing systems, they're finicky. Like you said, like all it takes is a tiny little flicker. You put it on the rev limiter, you're not on the brakes. It's a tiny, like minute distance that you have to roll back that it'll cause a red light.
And if it's going through your wheel, that might be a little shake forward or back, depending on how your wheels are clocked versus the other. It might be just holding here, but it does that, and now it's not. You just, as a racer, you can't leave that stuff up to chance. You can't just say, well, I've done it 10 times before. I don't have to do it now, and then complain when it happens. And you were told, put a disc on it, tape it up.
Yep.
You just got to do it.
And I mean, that's fine if they don't want to go and do something super permanent stuff. Scotch tape, put a little masking tape on there. It's not going to weigh anything. Like if you're worried about the weight and trying to run the best number, it's not going to do anything, guys.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, that was kind of most of the controversy there in the couple days that followed on, of course, the old Facebook.
Yeah, and then there was I was seeing another little kind of hot take that was happening beyond the red lights. There was a little back and forth with between Raptor Rally and ATV Sand Wars. Obviously both 4-lane setups. ATV Sand Wars, one of the best paying, races, period, not just dune races, in the country. Lots of high level bikes going out there. They do a green light start, run the 4 lanes, heads up stuff, and kind of some back and forth between that and Raptor Rally, because we had this discussion of time slips versus, big money payouts. And what do you make of all that?
I don't really get what the animosity is from either way. And I'm not really involved in any of that per se, but their Raptor Rally isn't drag races. It's an event in itself. Drag racing is just one part of that, just like the kids races are, or the show and shine, or the raffles, or the night rides. It's just one more small event, larger event. They're not competing with anyone. No one's saying running a time system on the sand is the best way, only way to do it. So I'm not sure where all that's coming from. I think ATV Sand Wars has a great thing going. Obviously, they got great turnouts, big pots. It's fantastic. Both are great. We're all a long ways apart too. Yeah. And for people to say, well, I'm not going to come support you because this, that, or, you're hurting our turnout or whatever it is, the amount of people that travel from, where's that at? Oklahoma
to Oregon that's a pretty far distance.
Or Oklahoma. It's a handful.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, the people that are able to do that, it's awesome to see them travel all that, distance to try to go and compete against high level builds, and, especially from going to Oregon to Oklahoma, to compete against that level competition, to try to go for that prize money. It's cool to see. Vice versa, anybody from Oklahoma, like you said, can't remember who it was, you mentioned that came from Oklahoma, won one of the classes in Oregon. Like that's a big level commitment. So I always salute the people that want to travel that far. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. I don't really see the need for the animosity back and forth on it. I mean, it's all sand drags. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just pounding your own chest a little bit for whatever reason, probably personal reasons, to be honest. Because the guys that drive from Oregon to Oklahoma, or Oklahoma to Oregon, they don't give a shit about that. They don't care about any of that stuff. They're going racing anyhow because they want to go racing. Nobody's making their decision based on somebody's comment on Facebook or where they're going to go racing. Like, if you're traveling apart, the last thing on your mind.
I would wager that if you're planning on making that trip, you probably already set in stone this year that you're making that trip, and any little drama that happened didn't really affect your decision one way or the other.
No, absolutely not. No, racers don't care. Yeah.
Well, hopefully all the kind of the drama with that dies down a little bit. We seem to always kind of find different things to have drama in the sport about, but like I said, it's sand drag racing, guys. Like let's have fun. Let's go do it. If you can afford to travel to different events, absolutely. I'm a big proponent of that. Visit, different tracks, race against different people, try some new things. It's always cool to be able to do that. If you're stuck and you don't have the budget to do that, race locally. Support the tracks that are around you. Work with them, even if there's issues. Work with them through it, because we want to have places to race, and that's always a good thing to have multiple locations you can go race at.
Absolutely. And I'm a big proponent of racing your local races too. That's where, all the guys that you see that do all this traveling, people you're looking up to with 30,000, 40, 50, whatever the price limit is now, ceiling on bike builds. All those guys started out at the dunes or in a wash somewhere out in the desert running their buddies, right? That's how we all started drag racing. Was just beating your buddy in your backyard, which turned into the dunes. And now I need a set of paddles, and well, time to do some porting, and got into a track somewhere. And those are the guys all did that race all the big tracks that are traveling. They all did that. And the majority of them, I imagine, still run locally. I do. I run Albany here every chance I get. Although it's a little unfair advantage. I'm 5 minutes away. So, but that's where it starts. That's where you get racers from, is bringing people around you into it and show them what it's all about. Bring your kids out, get them on bikes, get them down to the track. My
Absolutely.
son, 19 now. He's, I took him to the track since darn near day one. He's through and through a racer, drag racer, thank God. Yeah, it's good
Absolutely.
stuff. Support those local tracks, support them all. Support them all, do the best you can. If you can't make it, that's not a problem. Do what you can.
Yeah. Cool. And then obviously we'll be back. Raptor Rally 2025, I'm sure, is already in the works. Figuring out what they're gonna do for the drag racing portion of it, as well as the whole event in its entirety. I'm sure we'll see some more 4-lane wide racing, and hopefully to continue to build upon it. Thank you, Brad, for joining us to give us a little recap on Raptor Rally 2024. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Always appreciate the invite. See you on the next one.
Hey everybody, this week's episode brought to you by Racing in the Dirt. Located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, Racing in the Dirt has been in the off-road parts, equipment, and chassis business for over 30 years now. From full chassis builds, currently at 50 and counting, to wheel adapters, brake kits and components, hub kits and components, steering parts and knuckles, suspension parts, air filters, complete chain drives and parts, also real wheels and even cut tires, Scott, Shane, and company can get you hooked up with everything your dirt drag, sand, or mud ride needs. New from Racing in the Dirt for 2024, UTV offerings. From full cages to protected bars, with more parts to come, they're stepping into the UTV market with some new stuff. So find them on the web, racinginthedirt.com, or connect with them on Facebook, or give them a call. Area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. And the UPS Daily, racinginthedirt.com.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed those interviews. We are back, and we are going to just talk about our little news segment that we just started here on the Paddle Talk podcast. And we're going to let Damian start with this topic. Some news unfortunate news out of Franklin County. They had to cancel their last race due to some insurance issues. Damian, could you kind of enlighten us on that situation? What's going on with that?
Well, earlier this year, they've been notified that the company that had been insuring them for years was going to stop insuring events. And due to an incident at the fair race last year where a race car struck a parked vehicle, which was someone's hauler, and injured a spectator, the insurance companies, someone had filed a claim, lawsuit, something or other like that, and now they're labeled as a high risk. So right now they're just having to find an insurance company that will cover them in just period, let alone for high cost or what.
Seems kind of weird that you guys had the race planned up, and then the insurance company said something like the week up. Like, why wouldn't the insurance say? Yeah, why didn't the insurance company just say anything sooner? That's just kind of weird.
Well, it's not that the insurance company said anything sooner. It's that their broker for the last 3 months has been trying, and then the week before said, yeah, these have all fallen through.
Gotcha.
And then they've been scrambling ever since.
Anybody else got something to add to that? I don't really know what to say. That's kind of crazy. Isaac, John, Kody, Kyle, anything to add to that?
Insurance, especially event insurance like that, having been down that road before, it's a fickle thing. I mean, we had at the last event that we did, that I personally was involved with putting on, we actually had to submit a site plan and stuff. And literally, so the race was going to start on Saturday. Literally Friday morning, I got a revised site plan from the insurance company, and they wanted some stuff moved. And we literally had to move barriers back, and then do some pictures and stuff and resubmit it. Literally at basically the last minute, so to speak, just to get it. So it's really unfortunate, and it stinks because I think we've all seen the video of that guy riding on the back of JJ the boss's pickup truck down there in Memphis. Any with social media and stuff, any person that works in an insurance office can access that kind of stuff, crashes, that kind of thing. Insurance guys and companies in general are getting, I don't want to say smarter, but they're all about risk and reward. And when they start deeming things more risk than they're worth, this is what's going to happen. Look, the hill climb in Silver Lake, a perfect example. It finally got to the point where the MSBA, which was the club that put on the hill climb for many, many years, and Johnny can talk to this even more than I can, got to the point where they just couldn't afford the insurance. I mean, they were talking, I think, $6,000 or $7,000 for a one-day event, which is just crazy.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unsustainable for them.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, nonetheless, this news, I hope they find somebody that can work with them. So, if you have an insurance company, if you're part of an insurance company that is willing to work with Franklin County, or any leads to one, just reach out. Franklin County Four Wheelers on Facebook. Damian, what you got?
Yeah,
You had your hand raised, I thought.
I was just crossing my fingers there earlier.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's crossing his fingers. Good luck for Franklin County. And then we'll kind of jump back to Silver Lake. Kody, what's up?
So, just a note kind of on that. I don't know too much of the situation. I've heard a little bit here and there. Just kind of bringing home the mentality of, oh, it's not going to happen to me. It definitely can. And if somebody tells you to move and you're not like a regular at the track, maybe move. That's
Good
all I gotta
point.
say.
Yeah.
Or make them move.
Yeah, no kidding. Good point, Kody. Good point. We'll jump back over to Silver Lake, where the unfortunate news, and I'm just reading a link from the how do you say this? Oceana County?
Oceana
Yeah.
Herald Journal.
Yeah.
Yep.
OceanaCountyPress.com. Woman killed when Jeep veers out of control at Sand Dunes drag strip. It's kind of unfortunate. I'll just kind of read what the article says here. A 33-year-old is a Pearson, Michigan woman who was killed when a Jeep veered out of control at the drag strip of the Silver Lake State Park Sand Dunes Sunday, May 26 at 11:37 a.m. saved her daughter's life, according to Oceana County Sheriff Craig Mast. Her name is Katie L. Price, and she was hit while she and her family were outside their vehicle watching the action at the drag strip. So that's pretty crazy. It says the driver was a 64-year-old Michigan man. He was identified, but his name is not being released at this time for further investigation. And it notes that Katie pushed her 2-year-old daughter out of the way of harm before she was hit by the Jeep. So that's really unfortunate. And I don't know, like, this might be a messed up question. Have people died at the dunes before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I don't know how this goes with, like, if somebody
Right.
dies. Yeah, I don't know how that goes.
Yeah. Maybe before we go any further, we should explain too for guys, unlike, K-Dub, Brian, Johnny, myself, from Michigan, there's there's the drag strip, Silverback Off-Road Raceway, and then there's the dunes, which are not far apart. And I would say, Johnny, correct me, the majority of the guys that race at Silverback grew up or started racing out in the dunes till they got to a point where they realized, they probably should be more on the track.
Right.
More
organized, more controlled.
Exactly. So, the dunes and the track are two, while they're kind of connected, they're also very different as far as, what goes on there, and that sort of thing. So,
how they operate.
This particular incident happened out in the dunes, not at the racetrack. I was kind of hoping somewhere in the online article that was going to come up, because if you were just reading it and you didn't know kind of what was going on, you may confuse those. And I just want to make sure we point that out, that this was not at the racetrack. This was at the dunes in the state ORV area, and that sort of thing. So,
very good clarification.
Yeah, nice job, Isaac. Damian, what you had something?
I was going to state, and just like Isaac saying, the difference between track and the dunes. The dunes, it really goes into the crowd safety more than anything, is what this is showing.
Yeah, it literally says they're standing outside their vehicle watching the.
Oh yeah, and you see any videos from the dunes drags, you see it's about a 150-foot wide stretch of sand, and they'll be going 6 or 7 wide down that, and with no grooming, and then it's just cars and people lining it for 700-800 feet. And we see this happen in races in Mexico. We see this happen at all sorts of these events where the crowd safety isn't as good, and cars will veer off track, and stuff like that will occur, to where it's going to keep happening unless either people are smarter about what they do. The dunes shut this down, which they've tried multiple times, and this could give them a good reason to really try again, and so on.
Right.
Yeah, and then it just goes back to the whole cycle. If they want to do it, and then people fight against it, and then it's just,
unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. But our thoughts and prayers are with the Price family in these in this hard times, for sure.
Hey everybody, this week's episode brought to you by Racing in the Dirt. Located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, Racing in the Dirt has been in the off-road parts, equipment, and chassis business for over 30 years now. From full chassis builds, currently at 50 and counting, to wheel adapters, brake kits and components, hub kits and components, steering parts and knuckles, suspension parts, air filters, complete chain drives and parts, also real wheels and even cut tires. Scott, Shane, and company can get you hooked up with everything your dirt drag, sand, or mud ride needs. New from Racing in the Dirt for 2024, UTV offerings. From full cages to protected bars, with more parts to come, they're stepping into the UTV market with some new stuff. So find them on the web, racinginthedirt.com, or connect with them on Facebook, or give them a call. Area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. And the UPS Daily, racinginthedirt.com.